Hey, this is Mr. C, and thanks for tuning in to 3-4 Multiplying Decimals. This is your math lesson for today. Once you have your name, date, and the title written, please unpause the video. We're moving on in 3, 2, 1. Here's where you can check your complete homework for 3-3. Please pause the video. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so here our main lesson is multiplying decimals today, and as I see, there's nothing written in the corner, so this is where I teach it and you do not write down anything. Alright, so let's ask this question: how can you multiply whole numbers and decimals? Barry displayed 4 paintings side by side in one row. Each painting has the same width. What is the total width of the 4 paintings? Alright, well, I want to know what one of them is. Alright, it told me here. Each is 3600 meters wide. Alright, well, they're all the same. They're all this wide. I know the heights are different, but they want to know what's the total width. So I'm going to take 0.36, and there's 4 of them, so I'm wondering what operation I'm doing. Alright, so I see here that I'm going to multiply, because there's 4 of them, times 4. Multiplying 3600s times 4 is like adding 3600s 4 times on a decimal model. So if I counted these boxes, there's 10 up and down. So here's 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. And what this is just shaded in 4 times. And if you shade it in 4 times, because there's 4 widths, and you counted them all, then you would have 144 grids. But each one of those just counts as 1 penny. Each of these squares is 1/100th of a whole. So it's 144 1/100ths. So if you have over 100, that becomes a whole number, and that's 1.44. And this grid here is just so that you can think about it visually, but the rule is that when you multiply something, you're going to look at how many numbers are behind the decimal. So here I see 1, 2 numbers behind the decimal. There's no numbers behind the decimal here. And so we go back 1, 2. And so that's how we got 1.44 if we're just caring about multiplying. And maybe you can see clear that these are 2 decimal places behind the decimal. This is 0 behind the decimal, therefore I'm going to move it back twice. We're not going to use a calculator for today's lesson because that would defeat our skill of knowing what to do with the decimals. Moving on. Here's example 1. Alright, so follow me with the dot here. We are finding 5/10 times 3/10. So how are we going to multiply that? Those are 2 decimals. What are we going to do? Well, we need to show you, you should have received grid paper, and you're going to tape or glue this into your notes so it'll look like this. But why does it look like this? Okay, well, this is 5/10 times 3/10. Each of these squares is 1/10. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/10, and we shade it all the way down. 5/10 of this whole, half of this whole. And another way that I could read multiplication is 5/10 of 3/10. So here's 3/10, and where they collide, or where they're both shaded, then that's 5/10 of 3/10. We know that 5/10 is half. So what is half of 3/10? Well, it's only what both are shaded. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 3. That's 1500ths. That's the total answer, 5/10 of 3/10. And so that's what we're thinking, but obviously you're not going to have grid paper every time you do this, so we need to know also the decimal rule. So here I'm looking at the decimal rule. I see 1 number behind the decimal, 1 decimal place. I also see 1 more behind the decimal, 1 decimal place. We're going to take it back 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, and it goes in front of the 1. And as we see, that is correct with the visual model because 15 squares are shaded in for both out of 100, so this is 1500ths. What should we have written? You should have this written, this in your notes, and also example 1 written with the original problem as well. Please unpause the video when you're ready to go. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Here's example 2. Please try to do this by yourself, and then unpause the video. Showing you the answer in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so I have the multiplication. I just wanted to make sure that it actually was 604. It is. So I'm going to count how many numbers are behind the decimal. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to start right here and go back. 1, 2, 3. And so the decimal goes right there. Let's look over here. 8 times 4 is 32. I carried the 3, went down. How many are behind the decimal? 1. So we're going to go back 1. The decimal place goes right there. And that does make sense to me that if I had 80 cents times 4, then that would be about $3.20. That does make sense. Okay, unpause the video when you're ready to go on in 3, 2, 1. Now you're getting to practice multiplying decimals. Here are the problems that you need to do. Please unpause the video when you're done and ready to check your answers. Checking answers in 3, 2, 1. Here are your answers. After you're done with that, you may go to the gas station on Socrative and then choose your group math game from activity folder by the door and then Khan Academy, or you may just go to Khan Academy right away. And here are your answers for the group game if you choose to do it in 3, 2, 1. Thank you for watching this video, and if you don't remember, I want to remind you that you're straight up awesome. Thank you.